I don't consider myself someone who suffers from gear acquisition syndrome, as it's commonly known. I have a solid lineup of cameras and gear that I'm comfortable with and serves my purposes just fine. But that being said, every now and then I can't resist taking a peek, whether it's on eBay, Facebook Marketplace, or occasionally Depop, just to see what's out there and keep my options open. And last week, I stumbled on something that I couldn't pass up. It's a camera that I've wanted for a while now. Many people talk about it online, and it's generally in very positive terms. As you probably guessed from the title of this video and the thumbnail, I'm of course talking about the Nikon F3. Now, to be clear, this isn't a review of this camera. This is actually a preview of this camera, so note the distinction. The actual review of the camera will come out in about 2 months or so, once I've put like 5 or 6 rolls through the camera and I've gotten used to using it and actually have some things to say about it. But for now, I just want to share my first impressions. I want to load it up and go out and shoot a roll so that I can get a feel for it. So, of course, the first way to start a camera test is to take photos of my cats, and they are chilling in my bedroom with a lot of light leaking through the windows, and we're gonna take some photos of them. Gotta really bundle up for these New York winters. When I first picked up this camera from the seller that I bought it from, the first thing I said out loud was, "Whoa, this is way heavier than I thought it would be." This camera has a sturdiness to it that I haven't felt in any of my other cameras. Maybe the closest thing would be the Canon FTB QL, just a real sort of metal, rugged design that feels like if I dropped it, nothing would happen. Also, upon wielding this camera for the first time, I noticed how crystal clear and large the viewfinder is. Even when doing a side-by-side comparison of the viewfinders in my Pentax K1000 or my Ricoh XR2, two cameras that I use quite frequently, mind you, the brightness and clarity on the Nikon F3 is unmatched. So I'm about 2/3 of the way through shooting my first roll on the Nikon F3. I'm down in Prospect Park, seeing what I could find. I'm not getting so precious about the photos I'm taking, just kind of testing out the camera, testing out the waist level viewfinder, all that stuff. And hopefully you guys are liking the photos so far. One of the first things I did when I got the Nikon F3 was I checked out the waist level viewfinder. Here, I'll show it to you. A little sticky to get off. There we go. Yeah, see, look at that. You can pull the prism viewfinder off and look right down at the mirror. Pretty neat. And then it reattaches just like so. Nice. Voila. It became pretty trendy on Instagram and probably YouTube Shorts, but I don't watch those, to make videos of taking a photo with the waist level viewfinder. I can't really speak to how often I would use this feature. I tend to still get a little thrown off by waist level finders in a lot of my other cameras. This one in particular is nice, but I would most likely only use it for framing up landscape images, as using it for anything that requires an ultra deliberate focus point would be kind of difficult. I would most likely use the prism finder for focus anyway, and at that point I would just take the photo instead of removing the whole prism. All right, I just finished shooting the roll. I'm gonna take it out. There it is. Go. All right. I'm not gonna say it was a success just yet, but you know, it might be a success. By now you've all seen all the photos, and I can't wait to get them back. There we go. There it is. Pan 100. There we go. I'm not gonna run through everything here, but one of the cool things about this camera is that it combines a lot of the capabilities and features of a lot of the other cameras that I own. It has the sturdiness and ruggedness of the Canon FTB, the super reliable metering system of the Pentax K1000, and the capability to do exposure compensation, which until now, I could only do on the Nikon FG and Ricoh XR2. The Nikon FG being a camera that I don't particularly love, and you could watch my review of it to find out why. And although I dismissed it earlier, the waist level viewfinder is a nice feature that's similar to my medium format cameras, making it more discreet when doing street photography if needed. Some new features that I don't have on any of my other cameras are the ability to shoot as fast as 1/2000th of a second and as slow as 8 seconds, mirror lockup, which is unique for 35mm SLRs, exposure memory lock, and modularity. The ability to easily switch out the prism and the focusing screen is a really nice advanced feature. And I do have a few nitpicky things on first glance with this camera. Like the LCD meter readout at the top left corner, for instance, it seems small and compact and unfortunately not the most intuitive to use. The way to meter on a lot of my other cameras, like for instance the Ricoh XR2 that I have right here, just comes more naturally and makes more sense than having a small plus and minus sign when in manual mode on the Nikon F3. But who knows, maybe I'll just get used to it and it won't be a problem. So by now you've already seen a bunch of the photos and you've seen a bunch of B-roll of me out and about shooting, but right now I'm gonna load up this camera and I'm gonna head out, and then we're gonna switch over to Future Josh to talk about this camera a little bit more. Hey everyone. So I was in the middle of editing a YouTube video, one that you probably saw a week or two ago. And I got my photos back from the Nikon F3 that I shot in Prospect Park and throughout Brooklyn. I thought it would be kind of cool to do a little bit of a live thing where I react to the photos. I haven't seen them yet, so you'll be seeing them with me for the first time. So yeah, let me take a look at these. I'm gonna open up Lightroom here. We've got images. I can see them on there. That's pretty good. And we're just gonna kind of quickly go through them and see what we got. Let's go in order that I shot them in. That's me loading the camera right there. Gonna go over here. Oh, there's Pierre laying down. I remember taking that. This was only a few days ago. So yeah, look at that. Not too shabby. On first glance, it seems like the Nikon may be underexposing a little bit. I had heard great things about the meter in the F3, but I don't know. A lot of these seem kind of underexposed. I mean, we're getting a lot of detail loss in the shadows. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, there's information there, but it could also just be the scans that my lab did. But this was also Kentmere 100, and it is way grainier than I feel like I was expecting. Interesting. I mean, I know I had the meter set for 100 ISO. Yeah, for Kentmere 100. I tend not to overexpose my black and white film deliberately. Okay, we got a lot of stuff of the cats. All right, now we're outside, and we're getting a little bit more what you'd expect from a light meter on this camera. All right. I mean, we all know that film craves light, and it must have just been pretty dark in my room over here. I mean, we had the light pouring in from the windows, and there must not have been a whole lot of ambient light in the room itself. It seems like a lot of that grain kind of goes away. We get a little bit more sharpness. Yeah, even there, I mean, like there's quite a bit of grain in the water there that's in the bowl, but overall, I mean, this in the really white parts, we're doing pretty good. Yeah, so all in all, like outside, oh, I like that a lot. Yeah, that's really cool. All in all, the level of detail and the meter is working pretty well outside. Though I will say, even here, it does feel like that sort of center-weighted spot metering is really it's really working, because it's really only taking the meter from the center of the image here, and everything else kind of falls away. All right. There's a sky. I mean, I'm wondering why the sky is so rainy. Yeah, not what I expected from this camera in terms of the way it's actually metering and the way it's actually exposing. Okay, that one's not too bad. There we go. Taking pictures of skies on black and white or just film in general is always a bit iffy, but I am a little shocked at how much grain I'm seeing in here. Okay, I remember taking this. Remember that. I remember this. Love. Yeah, not as sharp. I guess maybe I could chalk that up to the lens I have on here. This is a 1.8 Nikon Series E lens. Might not be the sharpest one around. I remember this. This is the one I took with the waist level viewfinder that you all saw in the video already. Yeah, well, I mean, this is a little shocking to me. I've shot Kentmere 100 many times before, and kind of a little shocked that we're getting so much grain in the image here. But you know what? It's okay. I think it's mainly just an exposure thing. I'm going to have to do a few more tests, obviously. I'm going to shoot many more rolls in this camera, but it does seem like it is sort of underexposing quite a bit. So I think I might need to work on doing some exposure compensation or something. Yeah, even here, I mean, like, we're not getting a whole lot of detail around here, or at least usable detail. Maybe my mistake was just not overexposing, but I was really curious if I just set the meter at 100 for the pan 100, what this would look like. And, you know, if I'm being honest, like, these are first reactions, not incredibly thrilled with the results. All of this might change. I might do some more tests and put some color film in there, overexpose it by a stop or two, and see what happens from there. But yeah, I mean, this is a sort of live first reaction of all of this stuff. And yeah, let's take it over to Future Josh. I'm probably going to record some stuff tomorrow, so I'll take it over to Future Josh to go through the rest of the video. All right, so I'm back. You guys just saw my live reactions to the photos that I got back yesterday. Out of the gate, I wasn't too thrilled, as you saw, but I'm actually chalking that up to the scans and Not that my lab did anything wrong, I just think that they were sent back to me a little bit more contrasty than I would have wanted. I'm going to put up right here some side-by-sides of the scans that I got from my lab versus the edits that I made to kind of make them more in line with what I expect from my black and white photos. I lowered the contrast quite a bit. I raised some of the shadows just to reveal some more of that information that was being buried in the darkest parts of the images. And looked at this way, I'm pleased with what I was able to capture. Some of my hesitance might be coming from the fact that I didn't take incredible care when taking most of these photos. As a first test roll, it's more important that I shoot as fast as possible rather than carefully compose and plan out all of my photos. And I try to use as many of the features of the camera as I can so that I could spot any quirks or issues as early on as possible. And that being said, I didn't actually find a whole lot that I didn't mention earlier in this video. The waist level viewfinder is cool, but I really don't know how often I'm going to use it. I will also probably be planning on using exposure compensation in the future with everything that I shoot inside this camera. Just the fact that my images did come back a little bit underexposed leads me to believe that I might just benefit from one extra stop. And that being said, I'm still not an incredible fan of the meter readout in the top left corner of this camera, especially after using it in the field. It's just kind of small and not as intuitive as some of the other cameras that I own. But that's about it, to be honest. So far, I'm enjoying using this camera and I'm excited to continue playing around with it and trying out things like multiple exposure or exposure lock and just overall adding it to the regular rotation of my cameras that I use. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know it's kind of odd having this middleman between me getting the camera and doing a full-blown review of it, but I actually find these useful because when I do eventually go do that, I can look back at this video and see if any of my opinions changed, and most likely they will. So if you want to be around to see when I do officially do a review of the Nikon F3, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when all new videos are released on this channel. You can help support me by becoming a member. You could also support me by going to my print shop and consider buying a print of my work. You could also really support me by checking out some of my writing, including this novel that I self-published early last year or in the middle of last year, last summer. I've been really trying to promote it and push it out there. I think it's really wonderful, and I think everyone out there would really enjoy it. Go ahead and follow me on all social media. The links are going to be in the description. Feel free to reach out to me if there's anything you want to discuss regarding film photography. If you have any questions about any of my videos, yeah, reach out. I want to hear from you. And yeah, that's going to do it for me, Nikon F3. I'll see you all next time.